Do you know that feeling when you see someone moving boldly with high confidence and charisma and you ask yourself why you can't be like that? Here's what nobody will ever tell you. It's not that they have something you don't. The only difference between that person with high charisma and confidence is that they just believe in themselves when they commit to doing something, but you don't fully commit, and there's a specific reason why you can't fully commit to doing something. I know you've probably looked at other people and asked yourself, how do they just keep moving like that? Why does it seem so easy for them? While you're over here struggling to just stay on track for more than just a few days. This makes you start wondering if something is wrong with you, or maybe you just don't have whatever they have. But here's the thing. I know you always start with high energy. In fact, you make all these plans. You feel motivated. You are locked in for a few days, sometimes even a whole week. But then something small happens. Maybe you get tired one day, you skip once, then you skip again, and before you know it, you're back to square one again. And that cycle repeats itself again. When this happens, the real damage isn't even the missed workouts or the projects you didn't finish. The real damage is that thought that creeps in right after, and it sounds like, maybe I'm not just built for this. Maybe I'm not a consistent person. When you think this way, what happens now is that the thought sticks to you, because now it's not about what you did or what you didn't do. It's about who you think you are. Also, what almost nobody will ever tell you is that consistency is not a personality trait. It's not like some people were born with consistency and you just got skipped over. The real difference between you and someone who seems consistent is self-trust, and that's where it all gets tricky. And that's because consistent people aren't more disciplined than you are. They just believe themselves when they say they are going to do something and you don't. And it's not because you're weak or broken, it's because your brain has receipts. After all, every single time you say, I'll start tomorrow, and don't. Every time you say, I'll stay consistent this time, and fall off after a week. Every time you say, I'm serious now, and stop the second it gets uncomfortable, your brain registers that as we cannot trust ourselves. So now, even when motivation shows up, there will be this voice in the background of your head saying, yeah, we have heard this before. That voice kills your consistency before you even get started. This is important because consistency doesn't actually run on motivation. It runs on identity. Your current identity might still be, I am someone who starts strong and quits, and that identity wasn't built in one big failure. It was built through dozens of small broken promises you made to yourself. Think about trust with another person for a second. If someone keeps canceling plans on you, you will stop relying on them, right? It's not because you hate them, but because patterns teach you what to expect. You've done the same thing with yourself. You've shown yourself a pattern, and now you don't trust yourself. So whenever you compare yourself to consistent people, you're missing something. You see their discipline, you see them showing up every day, but you don't see their history. They build self-trust by keeping small promises over time. But you build self-doubt by breaking the small promises you made to yourself unintentionally but repeatedly. And that changes how your brain treats your own plans. So now the real question isn't, how do I become more consistent? The question should be, how do I rebuild trust in myself? Because Consistency isn't something you force your way through. Consistency is something that grows when your brain actually believes you, and belief itself comes from evidence, not from big goals or dramatic New Year resolutions. When small promises are kept consistently, when you say, "I'll do this small thing," and you actually do it, something happens silently in your nervous system. It goes from saying, "I always follow," to "I do what I say," at least in small ways. And that's how consistency actually gets built. Not through motivation, but through proof. You don't become consistent first and start acting like it. The reverse is the case. You will have to act in small, reliable ways, and your identity will catch up later. So if you've been looking at other people thinking that they just have something you don't, stop. They don't have anything special. All they have is more evidence that they follow through, and guess what? You can build that too. You don't just do it by being perfect, but by being reliable in small ways over and over again. That's how someone who can stay consistent becomes someone who does. And if you're tired of starting over, tired of doubting yourself, tired of feeling like you are always behind everyone else, that doesn't mean you are broken. It means your self-trust needs to be rebuilt. And once your self-trust is rebuilt, when you say you're going to move, you will actually believe it. And when you believe it, you don't stop but move. Now look, if you're sitting here thinking, "Okay, I get it, but how do I actually start rebuilding that trust?" I created something specifically for that. It's called the 3-day behavioral reset. And it's honestly the best place to start because it's designed for people who are done analyzing and just need to move. You already know what you should be doing. You don't need more information or another framework to think about. You need to execute on the decision you have already made, and you need to do it in a way that actually rebuilds your self-trust instead of breaking it again. That's what it does. 3 days, small specific action, nothing overwhelming, just proof that you can do what you say you're going to do. And that proof is what shifts everything. If you want something more personalized, I also work with people one-on-one to help them execute on decisions they already know they should make. Basically turning "I know I should" into "I actually did." But the 3-day behavioral reset, that's where most people start because it gives you immediate traction without the commitment of coaching. Link in the description. If you're tired of the cycle, this is how you break it. See you in the next one.